There are 34 million vehicles on Britain's roads. At times, it seems as though they're all on the M1. Especially when you're travelling through the roadworks in Bedfordshire. Whenever there's an accident on this stretch, traffic on the motorway is brought to a standstill.
Fire engine that's blocking the carriage.
Today, it's Keith Nicholson and Andy Scales' job to get it going again.
We got dispatched to what was described as a two-vehicle collision in the Contraflow somewhere near Toddington.
The Contraflow is a way of managing traffic with lanes going in opposite directions to normal.
The timing of the roadworks was such that they were down to one Contraflow and one other running lane.
Do we know if they're trapped and injured or just physically?
There was very, very little room for manoeuvre for the general public, let alone fire engines and ambulances and us even.
It's only a bit of a rear-ender, but the occupants of the two cars involved, all 9 of them, are arguing over who's to blame.
They seem to be having a few heated words amongst themselves. There are no fisticuffs or anything of that nature, but they were certainly displeased with each other.
Now the cops are here, they've all got back into their cars, feeling the effects of the crash.
No one had any obvious injuries. Certainly no one was pouring with blood or screaming in pain. The people in the car with the Asian family, a few of them were complaining of soreness to their necks. Nothing that would give me any great cause for concern.
But an air ambulance has been called for just in case. Any suspected spinal injury is treated as if it could be life-threatening. A fractured neck cannot be ruled out until an X-ray is taken.
If you are involved in an accident and you complain of neck pain or back pain, somebody gets in the car, they hold on to your jawbone, stop you from moving your neck in case you're going to strain your spinal column, and then the fire service, God bless them, they like to take the roofs off every car that they come to with anybody like that, because it's the best way to extract somebody from a car.
To make matters worse, another incident has just taken place.
A further collision was reported probably 300-400 yards up the road, and so we were able to dispatch Chris and Tan to help us out with the one further up the road.
It's another pretty minor shunt caused by rubberneckers slowing down to see what was going on across the road in the Contraflow.
Is it just a one vehicle here? It's just these 2 vehicles involved? Okay. All right, okay.
A Polish female had collided into the back of another vehicle.
Okay, do you mind coming with me to my car? We'll just have a quick chat. Go ahead.
They were driving back to Poland, so they were on their way to Dover, so the female was quite upset as to what had happened. But I think it was as a result of the first accident that this occurred.
Don't worry. You've not done anything wrong. Okay?
Do you know what type of injuries they've got?
My wife got injury in the back.
A female passenger in the car that was struck from behind has been taken to hospital with a back injury. Her husband is sure who was to blame.
I was driving in my car and that car hit me. No, there was no any car before me.
Right, you can go. All right? We're going to recover you.
Can I stay with them? I don't think that they can.
Yes, don't panic.
From what the gentleman said, he was travelling at 45 miles an hour and there was no traffic in front of him, and all of a sudden this woman has collided into the back of him. So unfortunately, as you know, witnesses don't hang about on the motorway, they sort of tend to disappear, so it's a bit difficult to get an account as to exactly what's happened.
The hardest thing to remember about any accident is normally caused by a momentary lapse of concentration.
You should stay in your car, guys, always.
The 2 crashes have caused chaos, which isn't being helped by some gawkers that weren't involved getting in the way.
These idiots have decided to come out and have a look at what's going on. And now what's happening, the vehicles in the Contraflow are reversing back to join the main carriageway because they won't get through. As these guys have decided to walk down and see what's going on and what all the fuss is about, the vehicles have started to reverse back. So the vehicle they're in is somewhere back there, hopefully making its way back here. And now they're left standing at the side of the road like a pair of numpties.
After a brush with the law with a brush.
Once the vehicles had been recovered, we were happy that was all clear. We went down to see if we can offer any assistance for the first one.
After having got back into their cars, the fire brigade have now had to cut the roofs off to get all the occupants out again. They couldn't take any risks with the injuries they were claiming to have suffered.
No, it's complete overkill. They've seen some flashing lights in the distance, they've jumped back in the car. As far as I'm concerned, they're only after compensation.
The cops suspect they're making the most of the situation. They've even got a name for this kind of behaviour.
So we think it's a bit of bash cash, which is our technical term for let's get as much money out of this as possible. What annoys us and gets on our nerves more than anything is the inconvenience to every innocent person passing, and also the cost of 3 emergency services, plus a helicopter, plus the highways agency, plus everything else that's involved, recovery, all that we have to pay for just for a bit of compo.
Unfortunately, it's virtually impossible, even for a doctor, to diagnose or disprove whiplash.
Which car was she in?
Front one, the Kia.
OK, can I take her details, please?
So I've got no doubt that it was a pure accident. However, once that's happened, they've obviously seen the pound signs flash in front of their eyes and managed to make the most of it.
Because of hospital capacity, the scene commander has tried to organise where all these people are going to, and at the moment we've got 3 people from the same family going to different hospitals. They've got C-spine, bash cash neck and abdominal pain.
So they're all at the L&D?
They're all at the L&D. It's preposterous. It's a waste of time, and society needs to change. It needs to change this injury claims. I'm going to get one up on you, or everything I do is going to pay out, because you don't pay out, you end up paying more for your insurance.
I've never seen anything like it, where a whole family is trying it on.
Chris, are we going?
Yeah, we're going. See you later.
Andy knows better than most what the real effects of whiplash are.
There was a pursuit in Luton where the guy was driving so dangerously that I thought it necessary to force him off the road. That involved contact between our 2 vehicles. What could be considered a reasonably high speed, we were sort of doing about 25-30 mile an hour at the time, which doesn't sound a great deal, but when we ended up embedded into a brick wall, it suddenly became very, very fast indeed. And it was from that I sustained a bit of whiplash. It lasted a day or 2, but there was nothing more than a couple of paracetamol didn't cure. I had a day off work. It didn't necessitate any compensation at all. It was one of those things, and you just get on with it.
Thankfully, pursuits are becoming much more rare these days. When they do happen, what sparks them off can be quite unpredictable, as Pat Reynolds recently found out after he pulled a speeder over back on the M1. Pat has got the man in the back of his car for questioning, but he's feeling a little claustrophobic.
Open the door! Open the door! Open the door! No!
The female passenger was outside the car. She was trying to open the back door to allow him to get out. I was waiting for the nearest unit, put it that way. I was hoping that they were going to turn up.
Open the door! No. Get over there now.
He's making his escape through the unlocked driver's door.
Standing with my back to the live carriageway with the door open. If he had pushed me, I would have gone flying into the carriageway, and I didn't know what was coming. There could be HGVs or anything.
Being single-crewed, Pat can't do much to stop the man from leaving.
I tried to reason with him and talk to him and tell him not to get back in his car, but he just didn't listen.
The driver had overtaken Pat doing more than 100 miles an hour. He's from Manchester and still seems to be in a hurry to get home.
And then I called up the control room to let them know what was going on.
He's jumped out, back into his car, he's now failing to stop. M1, junction 8 to 9. He said he's heading to Manchester, they gave me false details. They're very aggressive. He's probably failing to stop, maybe 3 or 4.
His driving was dangerous. He didn't have any sort of consideration for the other road users. The car was fishtailing.
The man's trying his chances off the motorway.
Luckily, there wasn't too much traffic this time of night. It was about 12:01 in the morning. There's a traffic vehicle going the other way who was trying to join me.
What the man doesn't know is that he's heading straight for the scene of a possibly fatal accident.
Traffic units had closed the road and were investigating the scene. And I was aware he was heading straight towards that scene. I was giving the control room the commentary about where he was going and the way he was driving, and to warn the officers at the scene of the accident that he was coming their way.
There could easily be another disaster.
And luckily, the officers had heard my commentary and were aware that he was coming, so they had all got off of the carriageway.
And they'd left behind a stinger on the road surface. It was just his luck to come this way. Another traffic cop has deployed another stinger, and he's running on rims.
He's travelling on the wrong side of the road now, and there's a car coming towards him on the right side of the road. So the marked traffic car takes over.
The stinger has slowed the man down. Now the cops are going to stop him.
He was conscious that this car was going to collide with the oncoming traffic, so decided to make some tactical contact to bring it to a stop. He was charged with driving whilst disqualified, dangerous driving, and failing to stop for police, and for driving with no insurance.
Just north of London, in Watford, traffic officers Ross Clark and Dave Marshall have spotted some suspicious late-night activity.
There was a large group of males all stood around a couple of cars, and it looked like there was a heated discussion going on that may turn into a fight. So better than just let them get on with it, we drove around there just to see what was going on and see if we can disperse it.
Some of the men have left in a Renault Clio. The rest are in a brand new Jaguar.
I could just tell that something wasn't right. They all got back into this Jag, and then he attempted to do a U-turn and go the wrong way on a one-way street.
You can't.
You think this geezer's got a driving licence?
We thought we had to have a bit of a discussion with him and make sure that he is who he's telling us he is. And you want to speak to him?
Yeah. Whose car's that? It's a hire vehicle. Do you have a driving licence? You do. Do you have any ID at all on you?
Ross smells a rat.
It was a bit strange, like they were trying to hide something.
Pop yourself out. Chaps, you stay in the car, speak to this gentleman. Just pop here. Come in. Have you ever been nicked before? Have you been drinking at all?
The driver was a big old lad.
Okay. We're going to have a bit of a problem if I can't identify you and you've got no ID.
He must have been about 6'2", and he was just really kind of sullen.
Your name? Sorry?
Imre.
How do you spell that?
I-M.
I-M.
R-U-L.
Hussein.
Always suspicious when people chew gum.
You do me a favour, just spit your gum out. Blow towards me? Nothing at all.
I've had a little bit, but not a long time ago.
He had to bend quite far down to blow into my face, and he smelled of alcohol.
Got any points on that licence?
Couple.
2 points.
Couple.
What was that for?
I can't exactly remember the time.
Okay.
All right, because of the manoeuvre you performed there.
Manoeuvre?
Yeah, doing a U-turn to go the wrong way down a one-way street, and you've just admitted having some alcohol.
No,
it's going to need you to blow into that for me. You need to take a deep breath and blow. Keep going, keep going. That's it. Stop. Pull the end off of that.
Alpha India November. First name is India Mike Romeo.
What does that say?
You failed, mate. All right, so you've blown 44, which is over the roadside limit.
Is that a U or an L? Immoral.
You.
You. Oh. You are known to us like a lot.
Just hang on,
Can you
mate.
do me a favour? Can you just put them in your pocket? Just go to custody.
What's that? 1 minute. No, it's H jewelry. Yeah, give me the jewelry, innit? It's on a big gang. Just give it to him. Can I take the jewellery?
Yeah.
Ross and Dave have got themselves a drink driver, but are pretty sure there's something else going on.
Just stand here and talk to me.
You've got a really expensive Jag there that's a hire car. Where does that come into it? And then there was all that swapping over of jewellery and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Dave has discovered a small bag of cannabis.
Booker then.
Me.
Sir.
Right, you're under arrest.
Much to the man's amazement.
Got any more on you?
Here you go.
As if I just planted it on him or something. I don't know what he was thinking there. But yeah, and then he says, "This is your jacket," to his friend, and his friend very quickly says, "But that's not my drugs." Right, this was in that jacket.
Then that's not mine.
But
yours then, innit?
this wasn't my jacket.
Imrul is going to be taken to the Nick. His friends, a pretty mixed bunch, are still riding for a fall.
And there was a little lad who was probably only about 18 years old. Then there was a guy in a suit who was really smartly dressed. And then this chap in shorts and sort of casual wear. One looked like he'd been to a wedding. The other one looked like he'd been to a barbecue. What's going on?
Who's Shah Ahmed?
Shah Ahmed, that's my friend there.
So he's not insured to drive that then?
Sorry, who?
This guy in the back of the car here isn't insured to drive that car, is he?
He is.
And an additional driver of Ashrak Ali?
Yeah.
Who's
So-
Ashrak?
He's one of my friend's uncles.
So he's not either of... This bloke's not either of those two people, is he?
Sorry?
The guy in the back of this car here is not listed on that policy, is he? So he shouldn't be driving it, should he? He's not insured to drive it.
It was just a nightmare because I was trying to deal with them and they were all just talking at me at once.
Why are you taking the car?
Because none of you lot are allowed to
He's in
drive
the other
it.
car, he's coming.
He's been driving it and he shouldn't be driving it.
Yeah, let him come. I'll call him. He'll come right now.
Yeah, where's
Right.
the keys then? He needs the keys to drive it, doesn't he? If he's playing silly buggers and whatever he's done with the
He's
keys...
a silly bug anyway.
They're trying anything not to lose their Jag, but they're getting nowhere fast.
He's under arrest now, mate. All right.
One of them had the keys and they were just messing around. They wouldn't give us the keys.
If you want,
Just watch him for a second. I'll go and
get
check
a
it's
local
not.
unit down and sit with that, recover it.
When you lot pulled us over,
Yeah.
I wasn't the driver to the vehicle. Please just look, if you can.
You drove it off.
The driver is insisting that he wasn't driving the car, but that one of his friends was. And the friend has got the proof that he's legal to drive it.
I've got my counterpart on me. That's about it, officer.
You've got your counterpart and your bank card.
Basically,
But there's a problem.
my license has been confiscated, isn't it? I need to go collect it.
It's been confiscated.
Yeah, because basically my nephew took it without my permission.
Right, and...
He tried getting into a club.
Right.
Yeah. Now basically I need
So
to go.
how are you going to prove to me that you're the person you say you are then?
Basically, officer, if you don't believe me,
Are you...
seriously,
Yeah.
I ain't got a problem with it, but it's about you can take me home. Seriously, you can take me home, my mum will confirm it.
I don't want to take you home.
My mum will confirm it. Seriously, I'm
He
not.
was clearly no older than 18. He looked so young.
Buddy, I don't really believe that you are who you say you are.
You don't?
No, I don't.
He was trying to convince me that he was 33, and no way. Whatever he's been taking, I want some of it.
Sorry?
Give me the car keys.
What you want to?
Take him home.
I don't want to take him home.
Why not?
He's under arrest. I'm not going to be taking you home, am I?
Coincidentally, the photo card part just wasn't there. So I didn't believe him for a minute.
Not just yet.
So, no, he wasn't getting the car.
Right. Are we going to get this 165 aid?
Well, can we prove who the owner of that is at the moment who's been rented that car?
Fella, you're really beginning to grate on me. Open my door again and you will really upset me. Go over there, stand there and get out of my face. You understand me?
Who?
Right. Where was I?
You were telling me who's got this car.
Yeah, this little fella there reckons that he's the bloke on the hire agreement.
Yeah.
But he hasn't really produced me any good ID, so I don't believe him. By all accounts, he's older than me, and look at him, he looks the youngest out of all of them, doesn't he?
I was inside, the Renault Clio.
So where's the
when I
bloke?
came outside, look, son, look, like I told you before, I'm talking like this right now, so it doesn't look like I'm talking to anyone.
The man spilling the beans through gritted teeth.
I cannot do anything. If I ever knows on I cannot mess around with this people. When you lot came around and when you lot gave the directions,
He was a bit like a ventriloquist dummy, wasn't he? He was sort of sat in the back of the car, just talking like this. He goes, I can't let them know I'm talking to you. And I was sort of, what are you doing?
Look, they're not finding that in. They're not finding that in. I cannot say anything. If anything happens, I'll get him jumped by the whole of them.
He's going, they'll beat me up if they know I'm talking to you. You sort of think to yourself, why? They don't know what you're saying to me. They can't be the world's best lip readers.
It's 5 in the morning and backups arrive to supervise the recovery of the Jag and to disperse the young men. Their dumb friend, meanwhile, is going to custody.
The only route out of that situation was him going to a police station, whether he liked it or not. And he could tell me everything under the sun, but the only way he was going was to that police station to do another breath test and to find out who he really was.
OK, it's come up 44 and 46.
And we take the lowest reading, which was 44. And he gets what's called a statutory option if it's 40 to 50, where he can go for a blood sample instead of the breath test. And he chose to do that.
If I put you in your cell here, a doctor will come out and take blood from you shortly. If I can remember which cell, 2. I think. It's this one.
The man's got a problem with the sleeping arrangements.
For some reason, there was a mattress in his cell which was a thin one, and he had to have a thick one.
We want you to not have a comfortable night's sleep.
Been on for nearly 10 hours, 11 hours, and I just wanted to go home. And the easiest way to go home was just to give him the mattress he wants.
Right. See you in a bit.
Upstairs, after getting the results back from the man's fingerprint check, Ross has got some food for thought.
We've been telling pork pies about who he is. He's a disqualified driver. And this is the second time he's been caught disqual driving. Yeah. And the third time drink driving, I think. Beautiful. When we actually found out who he was, his history was just as colourful as the other person that he said he was.
Right, have you got big roads up the back?
Big roads?
Roads.
Yeah, death roads.
Right, yeah, that's it.
When we went into the cell to say, look, the game's up, we know who you are, your fingerprints have come back and you're disqualified. Is it Rajon?
It's spelled Razon, man.
You're a disqualified driver?
You're further under arrest for disqualified driving.
He didn't even bother getting out of bed, he was just sort of there with the blanket pulled up and he's like, yeah, okay, that's me.
With the early morning rush hour well underway, the M1 north of London and the surrounding area is not a place for the faint-hearted. To make matters worse today, the control centre have spotted a problem.
Sorry, go again with that.
A very unusual job has come in.
Immediate response, A414 Hatfield, spot in the middle of the road.
Traffic cop Chris Payne is going to take care of the situation.
Whereabouts? Got GPS in our cars. Control room can see where we are, and at that moment, unfortunately, I was the closest unit, and unfortunately, the rest of my colleagues were scattered about further afield, so I drew the short straw.
Chris has a view on Swans. He's used to dealing with troublemakers.
They're violent little things. Yeah, Sierra 6 is sitting on the central grass verge. I'm just putting a rolling block on the Hertford.
A rolling block is a way of backing up all the traffic behind the patrol car and bringing it slowly to a halt.
So that then creates a sterile area in which you can work to deal with whatever incident you're going to. Experience means nothing with these things. Oh, look, there you go, saying hello. You think of swans as those lovely animals that you're feeding on a Sunday morning with the kids. They're not. They're violent. They really are.
Being caught up in heavy traffic, it's no wonder this one looks a little cross.
We have heard of incidents in the past where a swan flapping out when someone is trying to grab hold of it has broken people's arms. They are so strong. They don't look it.
It's turning into a bit of a wild goose chase for Chris.
You don't know what they're going to do, and they can do anything without any warning. went to take off, but he headed towards the central barrier. My heart stopped.
I'm hoping he don't fly straight into that oncoming traffic. I'm very worried that this thing's going to jump straight into the path of oncoming traffic on that side.
I'll see what I can do for you.
Thank you.
Don't go over time half a turn out. You've got to be just quick. Can you go on and immediate to the A414 between Harmon and Hatfield? You know the big Central Reservation. It's down to Swan.
And it is quite funny to watch, but it does have a serious point, and any second it could have gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Unfortunately, my applause is not helping him get up off the ground.
It's a lame duck, as far as this morning's commuters are concerned.
I'm going to have to open up this for a bit, because Uniform 6 is on their way, but they're going to be some time, so I can't keep this blocked for the entire time. It's going to make a lot of people unhappy. So I'll stick the car on the verge. As long as he stays still, then we'll just leave it at that for now until the other unit gets to that end, and then we can get a total block on and try and get him off.
While Chris struggles to get his feathered friend to stretch his wings. A few miles away, Ross and Tim Hill have got an altogether more menacing job coming in.
Start making your immediate south ends, please, for a high axe.
Whiskey 3, we're in South Ends Village now.
A car connected with a major crime has been spotted nearby.
BMW 1 Series in grey, I believe. It's a high axe report. I'm just running it through now. 120 in silver, male keeper from Plymouth. High monitor crimes, substantiated intelligence that this male may carry a firearm, so it's a monitor only. Monitor only, please.
We've received a call on the radio to say that a vehicle had activated the ANPR camera.
The ANPR camera is one of thousands of fixed roadside number plate reading cameras in a network spread across the country that is virtually inescapable.
Came across and said that there was very good, credible intelligence by Avon and Somerset Police that the chap who owns and drives this vehicle is involved in gun crime and will have a gun, will have a firearm on him.
To their horror, Tim and Ross have found the BMW like a shot.
Oh, it's it. Tango 1 Whiskey 3, can I come in?
So at that point I was like, yeah, I don't really want to be stopping this, I'm quite nervous.
The car is heading down the A1 into London, an unfamiliar territory.
Whiskey 3, go ahead.
Yeah, we're behind that vehicle with the firearms marker. We are approaching Apex Corner.
The controller has got some rather chilling news about the suspect.
This male believes to be wanted for murder.
Okay, a little more serious, okay.
At that point, knowing what the offence it had been involved in, we were feeling quite twitchy.
Whiskey 3, vehicle lane 1 of 2, 40. We're still behind it, appears to be one male occupant. Can't see whether he's black or white, and we're approaching Mill Hill, Broadway roundabout.
You couldn't see because the headrest was in the way. You also couldn't see through the mirrors because they were tinted mirrors. So we really didn't know what we got at that point.
Leave a big gap in case he gets out with a gun. I suspect the Met will get one of their Trojan units or a couple of their Trojan units to do some kind of a hard stop on him. The problem is us patching through to them, getting through to them, and then them getting to us. You know, it could be another 10 or 15 minutes. If he comes to a stop before the Met get here, what are we going to do? Because if the male suspected being wanted for murder and is, you know, carrying a gun, then I don't really fancy spraying him with Parva.
The potential of a firearm in that vehicle is quite a scary thing, so we treat it with extreme caution.
It's a watching and waiting game for Tim and Ross. Only the Met Police's firearms teams will be able to apprehend the BMW driver.
It's the not knowing what's going to happen next scenario.
The whole gun thing unnerves me a little bit, what I said.
Well, a Trojan unit gone all the way.
When I heard their Trojan vehicles, which is their armed response vehicles, when I heard the Trojan call signs call up, I was like, thank God for that. How far away are they?
2 marked ARVs coming towards you. As you see it in your rear-view mirror, if you just pull to the left-hand side and let us pass, please. And then if you can put a roadblock in, sort of about 20, 30 metres behind us, just allow us to conduct a stop. Over.
That's all received, we will do. It's the vehicle directly in front of us. I'm happy now people are here with guns.
The Met Police are taking over. Their country cousins from Hertfordshire can breathe easy again.
It was quite a relief when they said they were on Willesden High Road, and then they said, so we can come in, so we sort of backed off. And then they came in and put a stop. The chap just got out and they took him away from the vehicle and searched him.
And it appears the information about the man was right. He is armed.
In a carrier bag in the boot was a handgun.
Okay. Tango 1 Whiskey 3, there is a firearm in the vehicle.
Right, buddy, telling you now you've been arrested on suspicion of murder, also under arrest on suspicion of possession of a firearm. Okay, come with me, bud.
Are you being serious?
Do I look like I'm being serious?
Murder?
Absolutely.
The gun is a replica, but still a very convincing looking one.
They've got the wrong person in it, it's a mistake.
It's not an offence to have it, as long as he's got a legitimate reason.
He was cool, he was calm, almost arrogant. He's adamant he's got nothing to do with any fatal shooting at all. So as if to say, you prove I was involved.
On my way to the barber shop to get a haircut, and look at the harassment what I'm getting.
He had a smirk on his face, he was laughing on the way back to custody.
Meanwhile, back on the dual carriageway in Hertfordshire, Chris isn't laughing. The traffic has resumed, but he's still got the bird to bag.
But I really don't think this thing's going to move at its own accord. RSPTA are only about 15 minutes away, so hopefully they'll be able to come out, shift it off for us and, yeah, drop it home.
Chris has got a name for his new friend.
I've called him Keith. Last one I dealt with called Bob. So, yeah, Keith and Bob.
I had half the shift turn up in the end. More and more people kept turning up.
Stay and babysit a Swan deer.
3 police cars there at one point. About 5 officers there dealing with a Swan.
More importantly, the expert from the RSPCA has arrived.
She got out a weapon of choice, which didn't look nice. From the looks of it, the Swan has dealt with that before. He knew exactly what was going to happen.
But coy Keith is having none of it.
Go on, Sam. Go on, Keith.
It was like watching a 737 take off.
The term swan song comes from a legend that while mute all their lives, swans sing just before they die. Thankfully, Keith hasn't started singing just yet. The man arrested in London isn't singing at all either. He's adamant the cops have got the wrong man.
His story was that he had been involved in the gang scene and he had been around firearms, had been arrested for firearms and stuff like that, and he had turned a leaf over in a book, and now he was promoting youngsters getting out of gangs. That replica firearm was a prop.
The gentleman here has been arrested for the offence of murder. Coincidentally, Avon and Somerset Police were already at Wembley Police Station dealing with another offender from the same incident. So we were able to liaise with them, and ultimately they came across and they dealt with the offender. So it was more a case of us then putting him in the cell, seizing his clothing for evidential purposes, writing out reports, which took some time, and then hand the whole job over.
The ANPR camera network is all very well for picking out dodgy vehicles that have been put on the police's computer database, but only cops in cars can spot road users committing everyday offences like those in this oncoming van.
No seatbelts on any of them.
PC's Chris Thompson and Neil Crozier have got well-trained eyes for the job.
You can clearly see that the driver and the passenger nearest the passenger side door didn't have their seatbelt on. People do different things when they're not wearing their seatbelt for some reason. They seem to highlight it to you as opposed to just driving like they normally would do and not wearing it. They'll lean to one side, or they'll have an arm there, or they'll start scratching here just to try and mask the fact that that belt's not across.
Tango 1 Whiskey 7 for vehicle check, please.
The van's looking a trifle overloaded as well, with all sorts of stuff.
Wardrobes, just general scrap, really.
Heavy, pickles and shirts.
Neil's got good reason to believe what he saw at first sight.
You know, generally seatbelts are black. It's quite obvious if you haven't got it on. You know, I'd rather someone just hold their hands up and say, I'm sorry, I haven't been wearing it, instead of us standing there having to have some sort of like argument of the fact that I know they haven't got it on, and they're trying to convince me that they have.
I've had my seatbelt on, brother, but it's a bit broke, that's all.
No, you didn't, because you got a nice orange shirt on. I could quite clearly see as you went past me, you didn't have a seatbelt on.
Can't do me for that, can you?
Yeah.
No seatbelt.
Yes. All right, basically we're trying to cut down on the amount of road deaths that are happening in Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
All right, already this year, we're coming up to our yearly total within a 6-month period.
Yeah.
All right, obviously your front passenger ain't got a seatbelt on either.
Yeah, it was with the camera.
So in my mind, people that don't wear seatbelts are stupid. It's there to save your life at the end of the day.
In 1 week, I had 3 seatbelt fines, believe it or not.
So what's that mean to you?
What?
Wear your seatbelt.
Oh.
If it's broken...
It ain't broken, I just can't. To be honest, mate, I can't wear one.
Why is that then?
I just can't wear one. Too fat.
There are people out there that actually say that, oh yeah, I had one last week, you know, should wear it.
2 weeks to pay, innit?
Okay, yeah, well, 28 days, mate. It's 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Well, I'll pay
Yeah.
it in 2 weeks.
The £60 fines are adding up for the scrap dealer, who can't have very deep pockets.
Where are you taking all this in?
It's taking it to the scrapyard.
Oh, Camel Line.
There's definitely not enough scrap that they've got loaded on the back of that lorry that's going to pay for 2 fines of £60.
There's only, I bet there's not 30 quid on there, mate.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Pays for a pint, doesn't it?
Anyway, obviously my boys basically, you know, been doing the scrap dealing for a little while. So, but you know, they're decent enough chaps.
Seatbelts, women, beer.
Just lost £120 because we've stopped them. So it's going to be probably a very long day for them when they've got to go and find some more stuff to go back and pay for their seatbelt tickets.
98% of the people out there are very nice to us. It's only the, you know, the odd 2%. Think we've got better things to do all the time. It's the old cliche, you know, they're catching burglars, murderers, robbers, all that type of thing.
Moments after dealing with the scrapmen, Chris and Neil have all of a sudden got something better to do: catch a speeding van driver.
The blur, it was, he's literally, as we're coming up to the roundabout, he's emerged from our right-hand side and has gone around the roundabout like a bat out of hell. So myself and Neil decided that.
Brakes on and did a left turn right in front of this car.
It wasn't too hard to get behind him. Obviously, there was a car in our way, but as he's gone down the lane, we managed to use our blue lights and 2 tones, and that pulled over for us and obviously managed to stop him.
Vehicle check, please. Sierra 954 Foxtrot Bravo Whiskey. Sierra 954 Foxtrot Bravo Whiskey.
Didn't seem too happy that it had been stopped.
Why do you think we want to talk to you?
It's going too fast right now.
Too fast? Okay. At one point, you nearly lost it. Undertaking, going across white lines, and then braking heavily and turning in front of people. Do you find that an acceptable standard of driving?
I don't know.
No. A lot of people would class that as dangerous driving.
The most dangerous thing, basically, in my mind, was when he's undercut the other motorist and pulled straight in front of him, then immediately turned to the left.
Have you got your driving licence on you?
No, I haven't, no.
You haven't? Have you actually got one? You got any ID on you?
No.
No, so I've got to trust the details you're going to give to me. What's your surname?
Turner.
Turner. And your first name?
Max.
And he gave me his details, which we checked, which all came back in order. Okay, and whose van is it?
My work partner, Ben.
It's your work partner's van. Okay, why haven't you got any tax in it?
I ain't been taxed since he had it, I don't think.
Okay.
The alarm bells are beginning to ring.
Has he got an MOT?
Yeah.
It has. Okay, have you got that on you?
The digging is getting to Mr. Turner.
Tango 1 Whiskey 7.
He's not Mr. Turner after all.
Right, okay.
He gave Neil a false name, which at first we didn't realise. It was only basically as I've gone round into the vehicle to the near side to take out his tax that I've noticed he's got badges, ID badges hanging from his gear stick. And at that point, I noticed a nice little picture of him on there with his proper name on it. So at that point he's decided to come clean.
Ben Weston, is that you?
Yeah, revoked for 6 months.
Sorry?
It's been revoked for 6 months.
Mr. Weston's a disqualified driver and in big trouble.
I'm going to point out a number of offences to you. Okay, first one's going to be dangerous driving, because in my view, the driving that I've seen, okay, falls well below that of a competent driver. Okay. Second one is obviously using a vehicle without a valid tax disc. The third one is going to be dependent on what comes back on your driving. If you're right, you're driving otherwise accordance with a licence. Why are you using the van?
To be fair, I've just had the biggest row with my missus. I've come out in a hump and I was going to my mate's house to try and chill out.
Right.
But I know that ain't no excuse, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I shouldn't...
So if you'd been driving like everyone else, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. Okay? Because you obviously worked yourself up. That's culminated in your driving, okay, and it could have ended up being a lot worse.
You have a little bit of sympathy for him, you know, because of the domestic side, but, you know, from the other side, you know, he's not supposed to be on the road. He's driving like an idiot.
I know I've done wrong.
Okay.
The man's van is going to be seized under Section 165 of the Road Traffic Act.
Why are these people driving when they fully know that, you know, they haven't got a licence, and obviously his consequences are going to be slightly harder now for him?
The cops have got a brand new way of processing disqualified drivers.
With disqual driving now, we don't have to arrest the person and take them into custody. Okay, once upon a time, any disqual drivers get arrested, they go down to the police station, we have to do an interview, all the custody process. Okay, so if you've ever been in custody, that's the process that we go through. Okay, now what we do is we'll do an interview here because I've physically got the camera here.
I think he thought he was going to get arrested. And when I told him that we were going to deal with it there and then, in a way he was quite relieved and he was quite happy to talk to me about what had gone on.
And how do you feel about what's happened?
I'm gutted really, you know, I shouldn't have done it. It's my own fault, isn't it?
Okay.
Stupid things will have stupid consequences. So.
Have you got any questions that you want to ask me about any of those?
Not really, no.
No.
I'd like to apologise, obviously, you know.
Just need to go through the seizure form for the van, which my colleague's going to fill out there for you.
Just been driving normally, we probably wouldn't have stopped him because we'd had no need to.
How much stuff you got in the back?
All my work tools and work equipment.
The man's an aerial installer and he's well kitted out for the job.
How much of that do you need?
The van was absolutely loaded with stuff. Must have spent 5 or 10 minutes literally stripping the back of the vehicle out. Never actually seen anyone ever take so much stuff out of a vehicle to take with them.
I feel gutted really. I mean, that's all my work stuff that you can see there next to me. I've obviously now got to find another vehicle for Monday morning, get it insured and all legit for my mate to use to get us to work. So pretty gutted considering the row was over money because we've got none at the minute. It's yeah. They're doing their job. I was wrong to drive without a licence. I was driving erratically, so what comes to me, I expect, you know, I did wrong, you've got to expect to pay for them consequences, but obviously my mate is now suffering and, you know, I think that's a bit unfair. They could have let him come and pick the van up considering he's all legal in it. But yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen now.
Unfortunately, what is happening is that his illegal van is being taken away to the pound. Whilst the traffic cops are constantly looking out for bad drivers, they're also always on hand to rush to emergencies. In Bedford, a report of an accident has just come in. PC's Chris Norton and Tanvir Hussain have taken the call.
2 vehicle injury, RTC Kidington Road. they've asked for a traffic unit to come along.
2 special constables attended the scene first and obviously started to get details. Then it transpired the female who was in the vehicle was complaining of neck pain, and there was talk of having her cut out of the vehicle. So when that information came to light, we decided to head down and see what was going on.
It's in a nearby Tesco's car park, not the kind of place you'd expect a serious crash.
It's here, car park entrance. It was on the approach to the petrol station and the exit of the car park.
Hello, mate. Hello, nice. How you doing? You right? She smashed into that taxi there.
It's quite clear as to what had happened.
How are you, my friend? You all right? Yeah?
Taxi vehicle was looking to pull onto the forecourt to fill up with some petrol. Unfortunately, the lady who was approaching the giveaway had most probably come out and T-boned the taxi driver.
Your colleagues have got the information on that.
It's a case of what can happen when someone doesn't put on their seatbelt.
She's gone forward, nutted the steering wheel, head pain, neck pain.
Okay. Has she then reversed back at some point, or do we not know that?
I haven't been told that she moved. I think she hit him
and then
bounced back. When I got there, handbrake was off.
I was going to say, yeah.
So
okay.
I applied the handbrake.
Fair enough.
I think it's automatic as well.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Worse. So
it's quite apparent who was at fault.
The driver of the taxi didn't have any injuries at all because it was just an impact upon his near side front wheel. The girl, she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. She banged her head on the steering wheel and then travelled far back, and she was complaining of neck pain.
The injured girl's father has turned up.
You're her father. Okay, have you given him all her details yet?
He seems to know the taxi driver.
We're just trying to make sure that they're going. This is okay, I know you very well.
Do you?
The handbrake's been down. She's hit that car, and it's a bit of a gradient, and her car's just rolled back nice and slow, and it's come to a stop. That's what's happened.
The girl's brother has arrived as well to add his weight to the argument.
It can be 2 ways anyway. It can be like she pulled out, but he didn't stop.
Hey,
listen, mate.
Don't get cross. Don't get cross.
Every little helps.
Don't try and defend your sister. Don't try and defend your sister because you weren't there.
Yeah, but I know, but he wasn't there. He wasn't there too. The police officer wasn't there.
I wasn't there.
So
you're
you
right.
can't-
But all I'm saying is, from
he's talking
experience.
from experience.
No, but you can't just say that. I can say I've had an experience too. I've had an accident before. You can't just say from experience. You know.
All right, listen. Do us a favour. It's best if we don't talk to you for 5-10 minutes. Yeah. Job done. Because your opinion's different to ours.
Do you want to have a word with your son? His earwigging to what Tam was explaining what was happening, and then he tried to put his 2 pence in and say what happened, even though he wasn't there.
Chris has spotted something that might have contributed to the accident.
You can understand why she's probably pulled out and pulled into the path of the car because the hedge is quite high compared to her eye line, and if she puts her seat back too far, she's obviously not going to be in the correct driving position. She looks quite slumped down already. That's the importance of having your seat upright so you can maintain maximum height when in the car. Fire service are doing the usual. They're going to create a crab below. I think it's merely a precaution more than anything. It's going to be whiplash and a dented pride more than anything. Worst thing you can do is move somebody who's got a neck ache out of a car and then they've got a broken back because the vertebrae are quite delicate. And you're going to be in the line of fire if they're later on down the road they've had a broken back and they're looking for compensation.
The paramedic attending the scene is an expert in these kinds of injuries.
I come to a lot of accidents and I see this a lot, but I don't thoroughly understand why.
If we miss a possible fracture, there's a greater risk that actually we could kill the patient.
Okay, and how would that happen?
Because the controls for the heart and lungs, the nerve pathways come out through vertebrae numbers 3, 4 and 5 in the back of your neck.
All right.
That will stop your breathing.
Yeah.
And that will stop your heart working.
Can you demonstrate how that would happen?
No.
No?
I'm not going to kill myself.
So theoretically, she's thrown her head forward.
Yep.
She's thrown her head backwards.
Yep.
Right, so she might have damaged those 3 bones within the back of the neck.
Yep. And if they sever the spinal cord at that point, they're dead.
So how would you sever the... So why do you mobilise the neck?
A shear rotation, so they snap over each other, or they twist round.
So if I look left or right...
Yep, or up and down.
Up and down.
To an excessive degree, you can actually cause the bones to break and to separate, and that would cut like a knife through butter.
And that's it, you're dead?
And once they're gone, potentially they're dead. And that's why we worry about the neck.
Yep.
Roof comes off, because we then have a greater area to work on for putting boards in, or getting the casualties out in a smoother manner.
Changed my appreciation for the injuries that could be involved.
It's easy to see why such care is taken with suspected whiplash sufferers when the stakes involved are so high. However, despite falling numbers of car crashes, insurance claims for whiplash are rising. One is made every minute of every hour of every day. Most claims are genuine, but a lot aren't. Because of the difficulty of proving or disproving whiplash, it's fast becoming the fraud of choice for an increasing number of people.
We have a problem of staged accidents in this country where people are actually staging an accident. These are often organised by highly efficient, effective criminal gangs who put in a claim for damage to a vehicle, and included in that will be claims for whiplash. And because whiplash is notoriously difficult to prove or disprove, it's an area that's rife for exploitation.
The fraudsters choreograph this kind of accident so cleverly that it's virtually impossible to detect any wrongdoing. Their favourite locations are the approaches to roundabouts, or as PC Neil Crozier is discovering this afternoon, it can be the slip road onto a motorway.
The vehicle had gone into the back of another one as they were joining the main carriageway. Peter Jackson spoke to the driver.
Is that the only thing you remember? The car in front was blue?
Yeah.
What was it, a saloon? Was it a small car, big car?
Small car.
Want to speak to the other one? Yes, please, mate.
The driver is claiming a vehicle, which has now disappeared, stopped in front of him, causing him to slam his brakes on. A hapless female driver then ran into the back of him.
PC Moody spoke to the female driver of the Honda, and I was talking to the gentleman in the back seat of the Vectra.
You're going like that?
No, I know go hospital. I go to Reading.
Have you got any neck pain?
Okay, no.
You're hesitating when I'm asking you. You either have or you haven't.
The female that made the call, she's often a little bit concerned about the nature of the accident itself, because in her eyes she viewed it as being a little bit suspicious.
I was coming along the slip road onto the motorway, and there were two cars in front of me, and the motorway was quite clear, and the first car just seemed to stop all of a sudden, and the car behind it stopped. I saw his brake lights come on straight away, but he didn't go into the car. And obviously I was accelerating to pull onto the motorway because it was clear, and I put my brakes on as soon as I saw his, and I couldn't do anything. I just smashed into the back of him.
The accident bears the hallmarks of a classic case of bash cash.
And as she's moved over to the hard shoulder, the courser at the very front has driven off and hasn't stopped, and in her opinion it would have been of the understanding that an accident had occurred.
Moving forward, that vehicle at the front, we don't know what actually happened. One blue vehicle like that, match brake, and Kashi match brake as well, and that's when we had some collision at the back.
Cars, just vanished into thin air.
And then the guys in the middle car got out, and one of them came towards me. He didn't threaten me, but he was quite aggressive. I was obviously very shocked, and he swore at me and asked me what I was doing. And then he came out clutching his head, and the other guy came out clutching his back.
You've got back pain, you've been advised to see your doctor. At least then it covers you and details what you say, sir.
The driver came up and said, I phoned the police already, but I've told the ambulance not to come because nobody's been hurt, and I told the police not to come because we're all okay, aren't we? And he said, who are you on the phone to? And I said, oh, nobody, I'm just having a look at it. But I was still the operator who kept the line live because I was a bit concerned.
Front seat passenger says that they've been coming up the slip road. A small blue vehicle has just randomly jammed the anchors on in front of them. He said he doesn't know where it's come from, just suddenly appeared. His mate slammed the brakes on as well, and they've had a shunt from behind. So...
Is that both passengers have said that?
No, just the one from the front seat, which is the one that's claiming that he's got neck pain, headache, and lower back pain.
Apparently has said also a blue car. The driver said a red car. So what I'll do is saying I don't know. It'll get reported to the insurance fraud unit.
People might get their reds and purples and pinks, that sort of thing, mixed up. But red and blue, it's one or the other.
Hello, mate.
As far as insurance companies are concerned, the car behind in an accident is nearly always deemed to be the one at fault.
We've got the driver that's complaining of minor injuries. We've got front seat passenger saying that he's got stiff neck, lower back pain, sudden jolt from behind, and basically that's about it.
From the Vectra, yeah?
Yeah, Vectra's vehicle number 2, so that was at the front, and the offending vehicle's gone up the back.
Right,
So,
no one in the back one complaining of anything, just the front car?
not as far as I'm aware.
I think when we arrived and we could see how clear the motorway was, looking at the skid marks and taking the accounts from the people, I think it was fair to say that there was some kind of foul play there. That somebody potentially had stopped in order for her to collide into the rear of them.
If it's a setup, then it's awful. And it's just lucky that I wasn't injured. And they weren't injured, they're part of it. They have been injured as well, really.
Unfortunately, it's one of those incidents that's that we call a crash for cash incident, where the vehicle stopped and the occupants of that vehicle will then claim compensation for injuries that they may have sustained.
Yeah, if it's a setup, I feel sick about it, actually.
The red or blue vehicle that initiated the collision has never been traced, and the injured occupants of the middle car were not charged with fraud. However, the woman's insurance company has not yet paid out any compensation to them. The 2 crashes on the M1 and the accident in Tesco's car park were all settled by insurance, and Keith the Swan was also released back into the wild to enjoy a long and happy life.